Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
yep, we can hear you, Dave.
All right. I finally got into this mess. Good evening.
Hey, David.
Hey, Tim.
How's it going?
Hi,
Good.
guys.
Good. Hey, Nancy.
Good to see you.
You too.
I think we have a long meeting.
Yeah.
Looks like a full agenda.
And I was fortunate enough to find out that I am leading it tonight at 4 o'clock today.
You've got plenty of experience, David.
That's
Oh,
right. Good man for the job. David, I'm going to run to the little boy's room before we get started. I'll be right back.
Okay. We may have to take some breaks during the evening anyway.
Hey y'all, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
How is everyone doing?
How are you?
I'm all right. Today was kind of a rough day. I get my cast off in 2 weeks, so right now it's just a lot of weird muscle spasms and you know, I've never broken a bone before, so yeah, it's been interesting to say the least, but
It's
I'm really
not fun.
tired. Yeah, I'm really tired of being stranded on my couch.
Made it a long time in life without breaking a bone.
I did, and I don't know how because I should have definitely a few times.
How are we going to deal with all the people that are on in the pictures on the Zoom, as well as the million pages of documents we have to look at?
So as far as a lot of people being on, and I'll probably say this a few times throughout the meeting, if everyone who is not presenting, meaning your agenda item isn't up at that time, if you could mute yourself so we don't have any issues with feedback. Now, board members, I know it's a little bit more tedious for you guys to mute yourselves every time you talk. So as long as you don't have background noise, then you guys can leave yourselves unmuted. I keep myself muted for the most part, unless y'all have a question for me or I need to clarify something. And then as far as all of the documents we have, I would just ask that the applicants, tell me what they want on the screen. And, we can jump around and, certain things might not be as pertinent, like seeing neighboring properties, pictures, but I'd also ask that y'all try and be as concise as possible. I know everyone doesn't want to be sitting on this thing until late tonight. So we have some projects that are fairly straightforward, but we do have a new construction and a commercial project. So that being said, does anyone have any questions before we get started? Because I see Tim's back. We have a quorum. Rachel's here. And I know we have our first agenda item person here, so.
Call from Gwen Deborah.
Come on, Jennifer, answer that phone.
Call from Gwen Deborah.
Oh, boy.
Well, it is 6 o'clock, the hour at which we are supposed to begin this meeting. I want to remind everybody who's participating that we have a lot of business tonight, and it would be helpful to try and be as concise as possible in the presentations and the discussions. The way in which the BAR functions, for those who have not previously engaged with us, is that we are charged with looking at the overall integrity of the project, how it affects the neighborhood and neighbors, as well as the mass and the architectural details and how they integrate with surrounding properties. And with that preamble, I think the first order of business is to approve the minutes from our previous meeting, which was what, August 3rd?
Mhm.
And that's what it looks like. Do I have a motion that those be accepted or changes made?
This is Tim. I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, we have in the past been going down and actually having people give their name so that Becca can properly record it. So I'm just going to go by pictures. So Nancy Jean, you said yes.
Yes.
Jeff Bowers,
Yes.
Rachel Burton,
Yep.
Tim Kennedy,
Yes.
and I also yes.
Okay.
Are there any other members of the board that I'm missing out on? Or is this it? Okay. All right, the first project is 246 Marion Avenue. We have someone here to make a presentation on that proposal.
Yes, sir. My name is Mike Taylor. I'm representing the Patels with this project.
Go ahead and tell us about the project, please.
Okay. We've got an existing house off of Marion Avenue and looking to build an addition off the back. One part of the addition is going to extend their dining room, and there's going to be a sunroom that'll extend off the back of that. So that's kind of the inside of it. The outside is going to match the house with the board and batten. It's just a pine board that has been sealed. It's not painted. There'll be quite a few windows in the sunroom, but they're going to match the existing house, which are vinyl windows. The eaves and everything we're going to match with the exposed rafter tails. And we have a deck that's going on there as well. We were looking to do some cable railing around the deck. It was going to be an e-pay deck, and then we were going to also wrap the columns with the e-pay as well. So the roof, we're going to match the existing roof. So really, it should like it's always been there. And as far as being able to see this. It sits really, really far off the road. I don't know if there was an included plat of the property, but this is at the very back, and it sits way off the road. There's a long driveway. As a matter of fact, yeah, there you go. So it really can't be seen from the street at all with the positioning of the house and the garage. I was at the BZA meeting yesterday, and we were granted the variance for the encroachment onto the rear setback. So we do have the approval for that. So other than that, it should look exactly like the house when complete.
What's the cedar shake? What was that? What was that included? Right there.
I have no idea. I don't know what 127 Tupper Lane is, but yeah, that
It's the wrong project.
Oh, it's wrong project.
Okay, makes sense. That explains that.
My fault. I'm sorry, y'all. I was like, that doesn't look like the same house. Disregard that.
no problem. But yeah, it's going to tie in right there on the side you're looking at. It's going to come right off of those eaves off the back, and you know, that board and batten look that we've got right there. You know, the spacing and everything's going to be the same. The trim around the windows are going to match what they've got. And really that wood comes all the way down to the ground. So there is no real, you know, foundation of sorts that'll be block or stucco or brick or anything. So it's going to look exactly like what we've got there.
Comments?
Go ahead.
I'm fine with this.
I think since it's gonna look the same, use the same materials, and especially since it can't be seen from the road, I move that we approve it.
I'll second that.
Rachel?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion?
Looks good.
All right. Nancy Jean,
I approve.
Jeff,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
I also. All right. On to the next project.
Thank you for your time.
Good luck, guys.
Okay, this is 418 Central Avenue. We have a presenter.
I am sitting in on this. My name's Bruce Hucks. I actually, my wife and I own the property. So yeah, I guess I'm the presenter.
Okay.
What would you like me to start?
Yeah, you do not look like Cindy, though.
I am. No, nothing like Cindy. She sent me this link and I opened it up. I hope I'm not keeping Cindy out. Cindy is our contractor. She actually works for our contractor.
Okay.
But I think that you have everything that I've actually put together for this little project. So I feel like I can talk to you about this. I should know enough. Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what we're trying to do is on the second story at 418, it's on the north side. It looks like at one time there may have been a door there. I'm just guessing, but what they have now are like 3 windows that have been sort of cobbled together to fill that space.
Hmm.
And there's another window right beside it. I sent some pictures and drawings. I don't know if you're able to see them. Yeah. So I'm looking at it right now. So we just want to take those out, put siding, just exactly what we're looking at, the siding that's in there, and just button it up so that we'll have 2 windows on that side of the house instead of a door and a window there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that,
Okay.
what
And
else is in this project?
on the first floor, right below the window that we're looking at. You can see it. It's on the bottom. It's circled, and it's actually right there with that red X. We would like to get rid of that door. There was at one time a porch. The porch is gone. The door is actually in the way of the kitchen. We need counter space, and we don't need a door out. We would just brick it right back up, and it would look just like the rest of the wall with that window. So it's pretty straightforward.
Have you got brick that will match that?
We will find brick that matches it. My contractor may have a better answer than what I just said, but this isn't anything. This isn't any kind of antique or old brick. This home was bricked up in 1960, so these are just typical bricks. We'll make it blend, though.
There was an issue about some kind of a opening in that right there.
Yeah, that's on our back porch. That's actually not even, it's a screened in porch. It's not accessible or visible by anyone except us. You know, you can't see that. And we need to brick that up.
But where is that? Is that?
So it's on the back of the house, which I guess that would be on the west side. It faces west. It's right there where the cursor's circling, inside that screened in porch.
I don't have a problem with them and closing up any of those openings.
Mm-mm.
I don't either.
I make a motion that we approve the application.
I would like to discuss.
Okay.
I think we need to see a brick that matches that. And I think in so doing, we also need to ensure that the brick is woven in and it's not a straight line infill. So
I would concur with that it should be woven in and not just have the sharp edges.
Y'all could make that a condition of the approval, subject to inspection. And I mean, hopefully within the next month, I'll be walking again, but I can have someone go out there and inspect it once it's done, but I'm sure it won't be done in a month unless Mr. Hux has a lot of time on his hands.
I don't have a lot of time on my hands, to be honest, but my contractor may be able to get it done, that soon. But I certainly agree with what you're saying. I wouldn't want to put anything in there without it being feathered into the other brick, and we want to match the brick. So,
and the mortar.
Of course.
Yeah, Mr. Hux, this is Tim Kennedy. We're commercial contractors. We found the easiest way to match these brick when you're doing like that is actually to stain the brick, because getting them to match coming from the factory that's 30, 40-year-old brick is almost impossible. Right. So there are companies out there that can do the staining for you after the work is done. It's an easy way to blend that in and make it look good.
Mm.
Okay. All right. I will make notes of that.
And the upper area there, that window will disappear and be replaced with
the exact siding. Yes, sir.
And that will also be feathered in?
Yes, sir, it will.
Okay. Have any comments from the board?
I think all those are totally valid comments, David.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve with the understanding that the homeowner will weave in the brick so that it's not sharp lines, and will either match or stain the brick and mortar to the existing conditions.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
is Jeff still with us?
I am.
Okay,
And yes,
okay, and I also. So it's approved. And we shall move on to the next.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
127 Tupper Lane.
That's me. And this house was built in 1971. And when we purchased the house, it was covered in vinyl siding. And underneath that siding was that old hardboard that was coming apart. There were lawsuits about. We were hoping it was cedar, but underneath it was that. But we would like to remove all the vinyl siding, that siding, replace the lower part. If you see on the right elevation, this is what you see from the street side. You really can't see it because there's a carport out here. Replace all that with hardy plank and then cedar shakes up top with a band between them. Move, get rid of one door and move and center that window where it looks more appropriate. And that is really it.
Okay. The question I have is your drawing there says vinyl siding, but you're talking about putting hardy plank.
We're getting
Right.
all of the vinyl siding. It has vinyl siding. It had
So
vinyl
that-
siding on when we got it, and we're
That's all going to be replaced with hardy plank type.
correct.
Correct. Okay.
And are the windows being replaced also?
The windows are staying the same. They're fairly new windows. They're thermopane windows, so we're
Okay.
keeping those. Just moving this one window over to here and getting rid of that door.
So in your elevations, you showed the panes or muttons in the windows, but it looks like from the photos, the windows are just 1/1 windows. Is
You're
that
right. The guy that drew the plans, there are no mullions in those windows that are existing.
right? Gotcha. Okay.
And we're also adding working wooden shutters back to either side of all of them.
And so the new windows that you would replace would be matching the existing windows like these.
Well, we're not really replacing them. We're just moving one over the windows.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're just moving them you're moving, using the same windows, just relocating them. Gotcha. Understood. Thank you, sir.
Tell me about the shutters that you're adding.
Originally, apparently when this house was built, there were wooden shutters on the house and they were taken off. So we're going to put shutters back up where you see them on the drawings there. There'll be wooden working shutters.
Any comments?
I think it's a big improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Any discussion?
Happy to see vinyl siding go away.
Me too.
Absolutely. And your new window placement looks better as well.
Yeah.
The cedar looks great. Cedar shakes look great.
All right. Can I have a motion?
Natural cedar shakes, not.
Call from Susan Nalsabi.
I make a motion that we approve
Call from
this
Susan.
request to change the siding.
Beg your pardon?
I make a motion that we approve this submission.
I'll second.
Okay, that submission you're referring to is both the siding and the cedar shakes.
It's the siding, the cedar shakes, the shutters, the
Shutters.
window placement.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Nancy Jean,
I approve.
Jeff,
yes.
Rachel,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
and David, yes.
Go
Thank
for
you,
it.
everyone.
Good luck,
You're
James.
approved.
Thank you.
Next project is 608 Central Avenue.
Yes, sir. So I'm Brian Mize, and of course I was before the board previously in February, and you guys had approved the previous plan as drawn. However, I and my wife were not quite happy with the details that we had, as much as it was really good and we thought it was what we wanted, but we ended up consulting with a historic builder, consultant that does major work on historic houses all across the country, and just trying to make this, again, like I mentioned in the previous meeting, if you remember in February, that we're trying to make this look like a 100-year-old house. And he said, here's some details you need to fix. And so we went back and fixed them to be more historically correct with the time period that we're trying to build in, which is the early 1900s, 1920-ish style. And so I can go through those changes if you'd like.
That would be great.
Mhm.
Okay. So really the main thing is the front elevation that changed. And I know one of the biggest things that changed was, if you remember in our discussion in February, we had a roll lock detail across the brick foundation veneer. And it was shown on the front elevation, but it wasn't shown around the rest of the house. And now we've actually removed it completely because you guys wanted me to add the roll lock around the rest of the house. And actually that's not historic. So, I was like, uh-oh, wait a minute, what do I do? So the way we're actually going to build the exterior siding and foundation detail is that the exterior lap siding will hang over the foundation veneer, brick veneer. And so there is no precedence historically for that roll lock. In fact, he told me that wasn't actually a technique that wasn't done until like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
So
I think we suggested it, Brian, because most people, they line up their foundation wall with the framing above, and then the brick sticks out in front. So
right.
you've done a very nice job pulling it back so the brick actually lines up. It's a harder detail.
Yeah.
So thank you for fixing that.
Well, I didn't know it needed to be fixed until he told me. So it's worthwhile to hire better people than what you're capable of doing sometimes. Because like I told him, I said, well, I just look around and I just think that, hey, that's what you're supposed to do because that's what everybody does nowadays. But that wasn't done back then. So that was one big thing.
And Brian, I'll just add a note to that. I mean, I like the detail when you do it that way. Your drawings don't really show it very well. Because the siding actually has to get slightly over the brick now.
Yeah.
So you show it like flush, but really it can't be flush. It's got to be recessed back.
Right.
Well, it is in the bottom right picture and the top left. I think those are the places that are the correct presentation. Is that not correct?
You can see an overlap on the rear elevation on the right and the front elevation on the left, like David said.
Right.
Yeah, just a little bit, but and I should have included, I do have it's just a hand-drawn detail. If you want me to share my screen with you, I can kind of show you what I drew. And I can send that to
I think we know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, well, so that was the biggest thing. And again, like I mentioned before, we're wanting to make this house look right. And so that's why we kind of even slowed the process down. We thought we'd be ready to break ground and start building, during the summer or even now, but, we're not even going to probably start until after the first of the year now, just because we want to make sure all these details are right. And then the other thing that we did is that we got rid of all the boxed eaves or enclosed eaves. And so the whole house is actually going to be open eaves, detail look, but it actually will be a non-vented roof. So the detail will actually be applied to the siding, but you won't be able to tell that it's an applied open rafter tail.
Awesome. Love it.
It will have a finished soffit on top, but it'll look open from the bottom.
Yep. I think that's great.
Thank you. And then the other thing we got rid of too was that front and gable to the right. We had what a lot of people call like an eyebrow or just a box D return all the way across that front, and we completely removed that. So now, and by the way too, we had a different siding pattern. It was board and batten that was going from above those windows to the roof line, and now it's just all lap siding going up.
Yeah.
Good. Now, were you also doing a separate garage, or was that a different?
Well, that was in these initial plan drawings. That's a proposed deal. Don't know if we'll have the money to do it, but we will come back to the board and have that approved separately if we go that route. And then the other thing on the front that we did differently is we added the vents. They're going to be made out of wood along the front porch, because initially we had the front porch as part of the overall, if you remember, this is a raised slab foundation. So another interesting detail with that brick veneer and all that stuff's going on. So, but now that front porch is actually going to be separate from the raised slab foundation, and it's going to be a wood frame foundation for that front porch. So we needed to provide some crawl space ventilation for that front bit. But that's really about it on the front. On the rear,
Brian, I'm confused what your detail is going to be. If this is going to be a wood framed porch floor, you're putting brick then up the front, like, so the wood is inside that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I've done this before on the other house we built back in 2004.
Yeah. Okay.
Brian, is that a historic detail?
No.
What's that?
I think that porch detail that you're talking about is not really a historic detail if you're trying to make it accurate.
Like really, it would have been brick piers coming up to support wood framing, and you'd see that distinction between where the brick piers are, and then there'd be this trim board that would be around your wood framing.
Okay.
And it's it just has a different look, but it also is a little bit better for you to build, because then you don't have mortar, which will wick water going up then in front of your deck framing and then rotting them out.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, even you'd still have the air gap between the, so.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, part of it is, I mean, I commend you for all the changes you've made. Like, I'm really happy to see all of them.
Yeah.
But this is probably, as Tim said, the one detail that's not really historic, and it's odd.
Well, and that might be because of my influence on that part. So, because again, this is something we did before on a previous house, and I know it turned out and it looked great. But hey, if you guys think that historic detail, because I think if I remember correctly in our conversations with this gentleman, by the way, if you want to know who he was, is whole historic out of Austin, Texas, and but anyway, I may have pushed back on that change because I just knew it looked really nice, and I mean, but yeah, I get it from the historic part of it. So if it's 2 against 1, then I better change course a little bit on that. I'll give into that and change that part. So
You said you wanted to get it right historically.
I
If
know.
you're gonna do it, man, do it.
Yeah.
So all right. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. So it looks like a band belly board across the front,
Right.
yeah. And then you got the brick piers in the middle. Yeah.
Right.
So okay.
And a lot of times that band continues all the way around the whole house. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you guys think
yeah.
about that.
I mean, I have seen the detail that he has. It's much more common, the detail he has with the brick, with the siding just ending as he's got it.
Right.
Other homes, yes, they do start adding water tables, so it's a way of shedding the water out over the foundation wall. I think given the character of this home, the detail he has without a band board is appropriate. And so I could see just doing it at the porch, and it would really make your front porch just dressed up a little bit, which is the point of the front porch. It's just saying, you know, entry, arrival, this is where you go, and it usually has just a little bit more presence to it.
Right. Okay. Anything else on the front? I was just going to tell you about the back real quick.
Go to the back.
Okay. And so everything kind of continues along the back. Now, granted, the back doesn't look as historical as the front because, and this is one place that we kind of change a little bit over form over function kind of deal. So we changed the railing and the porch stair layout really. There was the biggest change, and we kept the bifold folding walls there, doors on the back. We did remove. There was I think there was a window, 2 windows or something, but so it's just one center window in that back right corner. It really is, it's pretty straightforward and simple on the back.
So is your back porch, does it have a brick floor or is it a wood floor? And then you have
so
brick
this
steps?
Yeah, so this one is going to be an integrated slab foundation on the back porch currently, right? Save a little bit of cost and everything. So
Actually, the way it's drawn, it looks like it has the band board that we were looking for on the front.
I think that's the concrete slab.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate that utility that you've done. I can see that being very durable. And although it's not historic, I appreciate that you've kept the roof detail going around. I like that you've got the brick on the stairs. And I personally don't mind that you've gone to a more contemporary detail on your back porch, as I do think it will be more durable for you.
right. Thank you.
What do you think, Tim, or any of you?
I'm okay with the way it looks. And I think the band on the front porch, like you suggested, works as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make that change. And one question I had from the last meeting, and I failed to write it down for some reason, but Tim had mentioned something about the front, when we do the metal roof, you guys kind of wanted to see a certain, I don't know,
Size
style.
of metal. Yeah.
Profile.
Well, profile and style. So, there's different variations of metal roofs, right? And I'm not talking about the corrugated one. I would never use that with the screws that go down on top. But we're looking at different suppliers of metal roofs. And so you have the ones that have, like, we're looking at, has an 1.5 inch standing seam. It's flat in the middle. But then there's also ones that have a somewhat of a small striation in the middle, so you don't get kind of the oil canning part to it. So
Brian,
with the preferences.
Yeah, Brian, historically, what we like to see is no striations, so a flat panel,
Okay,
and 1 inch high. 1.5 inches is more like a commercial project. And
Okay.
so we'd recommend for the historic, look at 1 inch high and a panel width no greater than 18 inches.
okay, yeah, we were looking at 16.
Yep, 16 is great.
Okay.
16 is great, 1 inch high instead of the 1.5 inches. And that's
Okay,
pretty much it. That's what most people, most re-roofs are done in the historic district.
843-873-25531.
And does it matter if the standing seam is a rolled or square edge?
No, we don't get too specific about the standing seam, but that 1 inch typically has just kind of clips over it. That 1.5 inches is typically more of a mechanical seam that's a little bit higher seam.
Yeah,
For a porch or something like this, the 1 inch will look much better for you, much more historically accurate.
well, and here's the reason why I'm asking that much, because yes, we're showing it as just the front porch and that dormer there. However, it would be nice if when we get to that part, if we have some funds to
Sure.
be able to do the whole thing in metal, right? So, because that's even, as we drive around more and more in the historic district, we're seeing, that's kind of the par for the course. And so I'm just trying to make sure that detail gets right too.
Yeah, it would be appropriate for the entire house as well. But that 1 inch seam is the best historic look you can get today.
Okay.
Lots of manufacturers make it, so.
Right. Okay.
Are there any other elevations we're looking at on this?
I think she has the left and right side as well, but it's really the same, more the same, nothing changed. Well, I take that back. So I'm glad she's flipped there. So on this left-hand elevation, we did raise the whole profile of the house too by 2 feet. That was to accommodate putting a window in there in that little section, because that room that's on that second or kind of half story would be considered livable space. So it needed an egress window. Plus the way we're going to run our HVAC between the first and second floor, we're going to have a open web floor system, truss system in that. So that raised the profile of the house some. So that all kind of worked in together. That was the only change that really you see there.
Yeah.
So that's.
Are there any other comments?
Brian, did we talk about the windows last time? What they're going to be and the things on that?
Yeah. Yep. So we were, I think you had volunteered. I'm still probably going to take you up on that. Come back, do a demo at your house with the Marvin windows.
Sure. Yeah. I love them. They're expensive, but they're great windows.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're looking at using the Marvin Ultimate double hung windows, still 2/2 with the simulated divided light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, they're great windows. If you want to come by and look at them, they're really nice. So.
They really are nice, and they'll be beautiful in your home.
Yeah.
Like they're really nice.
I think so too. And let me, I guess it might be appropriate. I'll share a little secret with you guys. Hopefully this doesn't make any waves or anything, but our project actually has been selected by Fine Home Building Magazine as their house for 2022 as well.
Oh,
so
cool.
Wow.
that's another reason why I'm wanting to make sure I get this right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For the whole world to see. Right?
That's great.
Congratulations. That'll be great.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Any other comments?
I can't wait to see it.
Me too.
Yeah.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the design as submitted, with the exception of the front porch, where we're looking to have brick piers with a band at the, the depth of the deck framing. And Becca, can we have it that you can review that and look at that before it goes to construction?
Sure. I review them before the permit is issued. So I take the plans and I compare them to what's
Right.
been submitted. So I'll make
Right.
sure that happens.
Yeah.
Nobody sneaks anything in there on you, huh?
No, we don't let that happen. It's in the field that happens, and then I have to come find you.
Oh, that won't happen. I got plenty of people in here that will vouch for me.
Well, lucky for you, I'm crippled right now, so I won't be finding anyone.
Yeah.
That's good.
Looks like an exciting project, and I'm glad that we have knowledgeable people here, more than I, that can talk about the specifics to make sure you address it to the right era. So I think it's a neat project.
Thank you.
Good luck. I think it'll be great.
We have a motion. Oh, we have one from Rachel. Did we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Yes,
what happened to Jeff?
he's here.
All right, there you are. And
Yes.
David, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 215 West 2nd South Street.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Roman Hammis. I appreciate y'all entertaining me on this. Webb Sharpie and I have a law practice. We bought the building a few years ago. It's an old house. We converted it into an office, a law office. And it is across the street from St. Luke's. We're kind of the only house, I think, kind of on that street or that faces that street in that particular section. We've got an issue. It's one of these old houses that's effectively 3 stories tall, but it's a 1-story building. Very tall crawl space, and then there's this massive attic upstairs that I had a contractor go in, and he told me, he said, you could probably get 1,200 square feet out of this for additional office space. We talked about putting in an elevator. Problem with that, or an interior stairwell. The problem with that is it eats up so much space, or it becomes cost prohibitive. It doesn't make sense. And so we wanted to float the idea past y'all of putting in an exterior staircase. I submitted the plans. If y'all say it's okay, we would move forward. Well, we might move forward with the project, might not. It'd have a couple of landings on the way up. It's about 4 feet wide. If you look at the actual pictures of the building, it would sort of stick out as far as this sort of back room back here that sticks out on the far right. I actually think that was an addition at some point. It would stick out as far as that, going that way towards these trees over here. And then it would, the bottom of the stairwell would run down equal with this sort of gazebo front porch thing here on the left. Anyway, that's the concept. Wanted to run it past y'all, see if it'd be something that y'all would be, what the appetite was for it before I spent too much money on this.
What kind of headroom do you have up there?
So you can walk into that door right there. Well, what we would do where that shutter is, we would actually be turning that into a doorway. There'd be a little landing up there. And you could go up and go inside the door. And then we'd have a couple of offices in there. But it's actually, it's a lot bigger up there than you think. Those pictures don't really do it justice. But
So Becca, is this a most historic house? Is this a
Yes.
rated 1?
Yes.
It is.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Roman, I'll just start. I'd say I'd have a hard time supporting this because of the historic nature of the house. And
okay.
Yeah.
don't think it's in keeping with Somerville or what we're trying to achieve with those houses.
Yeah.
Y'all don't like stairwells in the front yard? I mean, is that?
No, not really.
and I mean, this house, the building is really, really lovely. has beautiful details, and this is about as mean and utilitarian and unhistoric as you could possibly create. And it just doesn't have any of the sense of proportion or style or detailing that could even make it possible for us to consider and say, let's talk.
I'd say
Okay.
this is the reason the BAR was created.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, listen, I mean, y'all are killing me here. Come on. I mean, there's nicer ways to let somebody down than this. I mean,
No, I don't think so.
Not on this one, Roman.
Got
This was historic.
appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a nice day.
All right.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next.
Did we need to take a vote on that?
No. That building is just so lovely.
It is. It's beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we probably need to take a formal vote of some sort on it.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Record.
I make a motion that we deny approval.
I'll second.
Okay. And it's Jean.
I deny it too, with apologies to Roman and Burkhamis.
Jeff.
I deny. I guess that's a yes.
Okay, Rachel.
Yeah, I guess I'm like a hard no for their proposal. So is that a yes that I vote? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm confused if I answer yes or no now. I am very opposed to what they want to do.
Tim.
Because I'm completely opposed as well.
David is too.
Okay.
All right. Now we're at 107 Briarwood Lane.
Hello, my name is
Hello.
Caroline Newland. We just recently bought this home, and my mom is here. This is Laura Jones. Some of you may know. Anyway, the main concept is that this little bay window is like a complete add-on, you can tell. It inside is in the kitchen. It's like a little banquette. And I apologize for these pictures because it looks like we're slumps. But we just moved in and we don't have a shed yet, and we'll probably be back for approval for that as well.
Real life.
Anyway, the concept is to remove the bay part and just straighten it out and add French doors, because this will be our kitchen. And it will just give us access to this giant deck that's off the side. We found two original columns in the garage that is not on our property anymore. It's owned by somebody else now. But anyway, the columns, so we wanted to add two columns to that little roof stick out and just kind of complete the look there and bring it back to more of its original character.
Have any comments?
And by the way, that as a typo, it says existing bay window, but it's supposed to say proposed French doors.
Well, how fantastic that you found the existing columns and
Yes.
that they were in somebody's shed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is just really, really great news.
Yes, we were excited about that. We found some
Yeah.
shutters too. One of them needs a little bit of work, but
Yeah.
they've got like the layers and layers of paint that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tell it. Anyway.
Great.
yeah. Well, I love what you're trying to do. My only comments would really be, I don't, like, you're putting in new French doors, and the close-up windows, I guess I see all these, like it's a very simple frame, isn't it? Like just a thick windowsill, basically wrap around with just a little trim at the top.
Yeah.
Like, there you go. Yeah. I mean, so
But-
I would really just say, like, although the trim is really simple, that is your trim, and that you match the trim. And can you tell me about the doors you're going to pick? What are they?
I think I included just kind of a general image of but I kind of like the 2/3 with a quarter panel at the bottom.
Yeah.
We haven't picked any specific.
But are they wood? Are they what will they be made of and what will they look like?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
defer to the professionals on that. I don't know.
Do you want us to give a provisional approval or conceptual approval at this point and come back with materials?
We can do that. Yes, that would be good. There's one more thing on this that they had me add in. It's the window on the back of the house that's in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to shutter it, so the shutters will just be closed. It'll look like there's still a window,
Mm-hmm.
but we need the space on the inside for the kitchen. So
I am totally fine with that. I think it's a great solution to keep the keep the look of where there used to be a window, keep the trim there, the siding there, and just close the shutters and fill it in on the inside. That would be a really good solution.
I have a question now that I look at this. The railing between the two posts to the right of the door there, is that going to eventually have some spindles?
I suppose it could. It doesn't. It didn't when we bought it. I don't know if it.
I don't know whether it's code or not.
I don't
Yes.
think it's high enough to need it or require
Okay.
it, David, for code.
All right.
The entire
No problem.
den is unrailed, so.
Yeah.
Are there
I think
any-
it's
It
a
looks
big,
kind of empty.
looks like a great improvement to me
Yeah.
over what's
Yeah.
currently there. So I would
She-
support it.
Yeah.
She does have a picture of her door in her submission here. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I like the look of the door. It's just I have seen doors that, you can go to Home Depot and buy a door and they're
Fiberglass and
Yeah.
snap and mullion.
so I'm just asking, like, what will you buy?
Yeah.
And there's a wide range of choice. So I think I'd just like to know. And Becca, what is this like the historic number of this house?
2.
This is a 2, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's worth fussing just a little bit,
it is.
and have it look and be appropriate. So I'd be totally happy with David's idea that we give a provisional approval, subject to just seeing what door you select.
Yeah, I would add that what they're taking off is an example of exactly what we do not want to see in town.
Yeah.
Everything about it was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, agreed.
That roof overhang is crazy.
It's so crazy.
And then
It is.
Then the picture framing of the trim around the window.
Yeah.
So,
And what I don't know, I mean, you can see on this particular elevation, like the existing windows are at one height, and I'm assuming all the windows are at that height.
Yes, ma'am.
It would probably be the most beautiful for your home on the interior if your new doors match that head
that
height,
height.
if it's possible. I don't know.
No, I need to look. The ceiling is lower there.
Oh, is it?
Yes, ma'am. It's, I mean, I could, yes, it's, let me go glance at it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the end, like as long as it
Eight-
looks nice in the room, that's one piece or one
like
part
an
of the
8-foot door?
decision. You've drawn an 8-foot door?
No, ma'am. I'm saying, so like an 8-foot door would be a better look.
I don't honestly know if it should be 8 feet. I mean, all I'm noting is that on your elevations, you've got a height for the existing windows.
Mhm.
And we frequently try to match the height of existing windows where we can, just because then it makes the whole interior look cohesive.
Okay.
And it feels nice on the interior, but it also looks really beautiful on the outside when you do that.
Mhm.
So perhaps you could just verify, is the ceiling in that room lower? Like, do you have to make it lower to fit? And just verify what is the size of, like, the height of the door that you want, and what is the material of the door?
Okay.
Actually, the line drawing, if we go to it, makes the windows, like, I was going to say it makes the windows look lower than they are, higher than they are.
It could be. It could be that it's a drawing piece and it's not a real life thing.
Yeah.
But if you could just confirm that.
I think we're all in agreement that we like the concept.
Absolutely.
And just
Yeah.
remember, y'all don't vote if it's just conceptual approval. You'll
Yeah.
vote when they come back.
Correct.
Do we need to give some directions for them to come back for staff approval, or do we want them to come before us?
That's up to y'all.
That question was to the board, not to you.
Just making sure.
Well, as long as we feel like Becca can approve the door material and the look of the door, then she could do it. Otherwise, it needs to come back to us.
If Becca doesn't feel comfortable with what she's presented, then she would come back to us as
Yes.
a board to get it
That'd be
approved.
fine with me.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if these guys present, a quality Anderson Marvin kind of door that has the simulated divided lights and the correct trim, what we don't want is a fiberglass door unit that has a fiberglass snapping grid that
Right.
has a little plastic around it, and then they put little
Right.
button caps in there. That's what we were trying not to avoid, Becca. So, or that's what we're trying to avoid.
Right.
10-4.
Okay. So then do we want to make a motion to approve subject to staff approval on that product?
That sounds logical.
Okay, about me.
Okay, then I make a motion that we approve the design subject to staff approval of the door to meet the criteria as Tim just defined.
I have a second.
Second.
All right. It's Jean,
Approve.
Rachel,
Approved.
Tim,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
David, yes.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Next project is 114 South Walnut Street.
Becca, could you summarize what your conclusion was before we start again?
Yeah, sure. So let me so I have the pictures in front of me. So they're going to need to resubmit.
No, I'm
Oh.
sorry, I'm confusing you.
Oh,
Like when you're presenting the new project, like you showed us the front, and although I read them all, it's really helpful if you there's the guideline criteria, but then you do a little conclusion.
Oh, okay.
Can you just summarize what your conclusion is before they do their presentation so that we know?
Yeah.
Or I'm reminded again what.
Yeah, no problem. So this one's actually fairly simple. The reason I couldn't approve it at a staff level is they were not doing a repair in kind, and they were enclosing an open porch on this house. This is also a number 2 house. So I didn't feel comfortable making that decision. Let's see. The area of work is not visible from the right of way, but I couldn't verify if the window and porch were original to the home from our files, from the SHPO surveys. But I do think that it was likely that it was already, or it was part of the original home. So
Okay,
that is all I have to say about that.
okay.
We should have someone here, but I'm looking and I do not see anyone for this project.
We move to the next and come back if they show.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
All righty. And then, okay, so 105 Hansberry Lane, they received their variance that I mentioned in the evaluation last night. And it will have to go before the tree protection board. And I'll be involved in you know, being updated on those decisions. So if anything should change that affects the design that we discussed today, it'll come back. But with new single family construction, I don't really do too much of an evaluation to remain impartial. But other than just the standard guidelines, it appears to me that it follows them generally. So
Okay.
I'll hand it over to either Heath or Sam over the project.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and speak. So me and my wife, Kendall, we're the fortunate owners of 105 Hansberry Lane that we purchased earlier this year. I also do have my builder on in case you'll have any specific questions. But we're very thankful, you know, first of all, to be in the area. I've lived in the area. I lived on Peter Street. I recently sold my house to be able to build this one. So we understand how special the historic area is. And I'm very appreciative that I'm going to have the opportunity to build in the area. Becca, if you can go back to that picture. So just to start, that's kind of a picture of that. Those aren't the exact, as I put in the description, the brick roof and exterior colors are ones that I've submitted today in the plan. But I wanted to provide a picture to show kind of what the house will look like. I do plan to go with board and batten. I'll be going with a metal standing seam, 1 inch high metal roof. And then we have cedar. The accent will be cedar. And then it will be a raised slab is what we'll be building the house on. But yeah, just real thankful, appreciative to be in the area. Do we have any questions?
Any comments?
Well, I guess I'll start. Just looking at those elevations, I guess, Heath, this is a tough one because I do appreciate the fact that you guys are trying to build a nice house there. But I'm a little bit worried that it's not in keeping with the historic district of where your lot's located. And maybe my other board members don't feel this way, but the exposed cedar, the detail at the bottom, the slab on grade, those are all features that typically we don't see in the historic district. And I'm even a little bit worried about the garage being all part of the house. Most houses in that area have a detached garage. So I don't know. I'll let other people speak, but those are just my initial concerns, I guess.
My feeling about it is it's a little too busy with the timber framing as well as the board and batten shutters. I think that it could be calmed down a lot by having standard paneled shutters or louvered shutters as opposed to the board and batten ones. But I find it a little busy, but also having to keep in mind that, it's new construction, and it's going to be very obvious new construction and not an attempt to replicate an historic building. But
Can I ask a question? Building on a slab, I know is less expensive than other methods of the older houses in the historic district. But that to me, we shouldn't, to me, I would have a hard time requiring somebody doing new construction to not have it built on a slab because of the difference in expense. And y'all have to tell me why that's not appropriate.
Well, previously in the past, we've not allowed that because it's not in keeping with the historic district. And typically houses in the historic district are raised 3 feet or more off the ground. And some people have chosen to stay with a slab on grade, but just elevate that slab on grade to emulate what it would look like if they were building with crawl space.
Mm-hmm.
And we had
And
some.
Yeah, and it's also really difficult, Tim, to evaluate. Like we've got the colored elevation, which shows the one kind of construction with stairs up, and then the elevations presented
So no stairs.
have no stairs.
Becca, do we have the elevation plans from the engineer? Could you pull that up? This is a raised slab. I know that the visual on this original plan is not. So this was the original plan purchased by the homeowner, but the actual building that is, the house is going to be on a raised slab with a reclaimed brick veneer around the bottom with brick stairs off the front. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
How high will it be raised?
24 to 26 inches typically is what he was planning on. He doesn't want to elevate it too much because he would love to retire in this home, and the less stairs, the better. But it's definitely not going to be an elevate or a slab on grade. It's going to be a raised.
I think we got a couple of other things going on because some elevations show windows with divided lights. Some show windows without divided lights. The brick coursing is different, as Rachel pointed out. Some should go below the window. Some show a table course. So I think we might just have to get these guys cleaned up and resubmitted to what you guys actually want to build versus 4 different variations or several variations.
And my thoughts about this is that on the one hand, I really appreciate that the selection of this design that you made is trying to break up the mass and trying to create the kind of look like in the massing that is appropriate for our historic district. So I really like that got off to a good start with that. But I do agree with, like, picking up on David's comment that the exposed truss decoration, it's literally applied inside like a very narrow overhang of a gable roof in the gable ends, is like a sort of mountain house look.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily our historic district look. And while board and batten could be historic, the way that it's done in this particular home is not. So I'm not saying that you can't use board and batten. I'm saying the combination of using this style of shutter plus the board and batten plus the exposed trussing kind of undermines that really great start you had with selecting a home shape that had really, really decent massing and broke up the mass and made it all like, feel like it could fit. So I would ask you to continue down the path that you were on with looking at the reclaimed brick. I love that. And just think about, does the reclaimed brick really go with these trusses on the outside? Or do you just maybe, what Brian did earlier with his simplification actually made his house better. And perhaps this house might be similar in that it might not need as much like applied decoration. It might just need a little bit of thought about the color, the materials, and what you're doing.
I mean, even using the corbels that exist beneath the applied timber frame, if you were to use some corbels instead of the applied timber framing, that could be also more appropriate than the exposed timber framing, which is not truly structural, but I think just applied
I think it's just decoration.
Yeah.
as a
And
decoration.
it
There
kind
may
of,
be a smooth boards that are painted versus cedar that's stained. I don't know.
like, I agree. I think it's just some of the material selections, which might not be perfectly right. And maybe it's just looking at, like, we have some homes in our historic district that have really simple porches, but they aren't raw wood. They're like, they aren't just meant to be a wood post. There's,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. And I actually, David, I agree with you about the corbels could be fine as a piece just on their own.
Becca, do you have the other plan elevation?
Which sheet?
I'll tell you, if you keep going, it's not part of the American Gables. It's by the engineer, Kevin Gatton.
This is everything I have.
Okay. So y'all are missing the engineered elevations on this plan. Not sure.
I think go back the other way, Becca. I think they're in there with green lines showing the vertical board and batten. I've got it pulled up on another screen.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. This just gives you a little bit better of what the final look was, because the windows don't go down all the way because it's not a slab on grade anymore. This just helps give you a little bit more visual. Now, if you look to the side of this house, there's your visual without any of the decorative trim. Is that something you guys are looking at? That
Sam, I think she just got to combine all this together. I mean, the green lines and the engineering of this, you need to get an architect to put it all together for you and make it look right.
And I mean, these are
And then-
showing windows with no grids. The other
Right.
had grids. Like, what are we looking at?
It's just kind of half put together, Sam, to be quite honest, and it just needs.
No, I
to be done
understand
right.
clearly. Understand clearly. We were discussing the architect. Of course, it's not required to have an architectural drawing, but of course it paints a very pretty picture when you have one. So we understand that, but we were just trying to get Heath down the road because a lot of the things we're talking about are very simple. He wants 2/2 windows. That's something simple. He's got a metal stand and seam roof, board and batten siding. We're talking about simple things that is what y'all are looking for, but y'all want to see it. That's the question.
We just got to see it put together to make sure the proportions are right, the details are right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the building.
I would concur with that, David. Like, the overall shape and massing is,
I think it can come out a lot better with kind of taking some of the applied details off that are not necessary.
Yeah.
Make it a little more low country and less mountainy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway is it looks too much like it belongs in Bavard, North
Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're probably disappointed, but do you understand what our concerns are and what we would like to see you to come back with?
Yes, sir. So just to, I guess, conclude. So is it mainly the dressing? You don't like the, I guess, the cedar that's up in the corners of the house? Is that correct?
I think Tim summed it up. It's like less mountain, more low country, and whatever you put together as your package to be appropriate for historic Somerville. Low country look is what we would like. And
Yeah, absolutely. What is it about it that's, I guess, that is mountainy? Could you give me examples of, besides,
selection of shutters, the
Shutters.
trusses, the porch
Oh.
columns, the colors chosen, the board and batten everywhere.
So the board and batten,
The shutters,
Yeah, the shutters.
the garage doors.
Yeah, the
I mean, it was
garage
just
doors.
Kind of, oh, there's a lot of things on there.
Yeah. So I think you need to look at it in a holistic way and then come back and show us what you're thinking.
I think you set Heath off on the right path, and I'm going to help him, get with the architect and get things figured out to paint the picture.
Okay.
He's definitely going to build a house that what y'all are all describing. It's just a matter of having it on paper. This was just an engineer drawing to get something for you guys to look at.
Right.
And he'll get that together and bring it back, and we appreciate your comments on it.
And Sam, just while you're thinking about it, one of the things that we've always have a problem with too is your wall section. When you have that brick detail at the bottom, we talked about this on an earlier submission, and you got to show it proud of the siding. In a historic house, it shouldn't be proud of the siding. Now, that's one of the issues with slab on grade construction versus crawl space construction. So you might need to get creative on how to figure out that detail as well. So just take a look at those. All those little details are important and things we'll be looking at.
Well, while I've got you for just a quick second, most likely, which we were planning on, was a roll lock here to help. And then with a profile on the bottom, band board over top of that, is that something you think would help lessen that button out?
Yeah, Becca, I think there's a wall section in one of these things. Maybe you could go to that and maybe get Rachel to kind of talk about that a little bit. Let her see that detail real quick. Yeah, there you go. If you could kind of blow up one of those and see, go back now, go into section 2, zoom into section 2.
So yeah.
Yeah, you see that's that detail we're talking about.
Oh. I mean, that's a really, really terrible detail.
Right.
But it's even that may not be accurate, because you're talking about you're going to be a raised slab, like perhaps 2 feet. So the amount that you raise it, like when you have the brick up against your wood siding, that isn't what you're really going to do.
You're correct. This was the purchase plan from the
Correct.
website.
Yeah.
This is not what he's building, but
that in our climate is going to be awful. That is going to rot. No, like you just can't build it well enough for it not to. So I would encourage you, start at what your detail is, look at the proportions of what you're going to have on the outside, like how much brick will be exposed, which will be how high will you raise it, and then really think it through. And then is there a band board that finishes off the board and batten so that the battens all hit a horizontal board? And then what is the height of that board if that's the detail that you pick? And how does it look? And it all comes down to, how does it look? What are the proportions? Does it seem right? And we can't just advise you, oh, we'll just make it this height, because it all fits together in an overall appearance.
Heath, I'm going to advise you to hire Mrs. Burton to draw this for you.
But she's a great architect, but there are plenty others as well.
There are lots of really good architects, but those are the kinds of things that you need to really think about and look through, so that there's, like, it's constructible, but it's also going to last a long time and be durable for you, but it's going to be appropriate for our historic district. So it's kind of those 3 things together. And at the moment, the details are not durable. And they're not really fitting the historic district. So I think it just needs a little more thought putting it together.
You're saving him some protection, I guess, or providing some protection by getting him to make sure that the siding is over the brick.
Yeah,
Rather-
yeah,
rather
like
than
you don't want the brick up against your wood framed wall.
it'll rot.
It will rot.
And Sam, typically, about 2.5 to 3 feet. So we've asked these houses to be. So obviously you guys come back with what you want to present, but that's typically what we've asked for when we've seen a slab on grade house or a crawl space house. So
You say
Yeah.
2 to 3 feet, so it's
two
2 foot
and a half.
something.
Yeah,
2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good to know that now, so
That's why I'm throwing that out there to you.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, Heath, you got anything else?
No, I'm good. I appreciate y'all's time. And,
Hey, he's sorry about that. I know it seems like a lot. It seems like we just
Hang in
rained all
there.
over your parade. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Makes
I mean,
it's
I'm-
awkward for us too.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to, obviously we sold our house and, we're looking forward to get going.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just me and my wife now, but
We want it to be a success for you and for the town.
Yeah,
yes, sir,
exactly.
yeah. And I appreciate that. So, yeah, like I said, we really are. We're appreciative. I know how
Poor
special.
Keith has had to go through, he's going through the triathlon of boards. He's been for BZA
hoping-
twice,
Yeah,
then he
I was
has to go
hoping-
before the tree committee.
I was hoping to go for. I had my zoning meeting last night. I was talking to Sam earlier. I was like, Sam, we're going for back-to-back wins. We're going one for one a week.
We'll call tonight a draw.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other feedback? Just I guess that y'all maybe have for because I do want to. I would like the next time I do meet with y'all to hopefully, hopefully I have everything approved where I can kind of get moving with
Yeah.
building. Is there any other specifics that you might have that I can kind of make sure that I address?
I think you really just need to get that great architect to help you put it all together, and they'll take care of it.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All
See
right.
you next month then.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
All right, our last one for the evening.
All right. This is 123 West Richardson.
And before Nancy gets started, I'll just go ahead and say that I went out on over to the restaurant. You guys all know where this is, Sweetwater. I actually went over there and took a look, and we went all over a lot of the proposed options for where this could be placed. If you're not familiar, there is a temporary dining area that's been out there for, Nancy can answer that question. It's been out there all of COVID, I know that, but I'll hand it over to Nancy. But this is completely zoning compliant. DMX, the district, downtown mixed use is probably our least restrictive zoning. So,
Becca, thank you. To answer your question, the temporary tent that you see out there now has been there for 14 months since, so pretty much the start of COVID when restaurants started
Yep.
opening. So what we have, if you want to go back to okay. So we have the building there. On the left-hand side is the new canopy. Just wanted to show this picture with the driveway. Basically what we have right now with the temporary canopy is the same footprint that we want for the new one. It will not restrict the driveway in any way. The ADA handicap parking spot and walkway is still not being changed. That'll be there, and the walkway from the restaurant to the dining area. Thank you, Becca. Go on. I'll show you.
sorry, what was that?
No, just go to the next slide.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so what we're showing here is what was approved back in 2019 when Sweetwater had their new turnover from the Greek restaurant. This outside patio was put together with horizontal slat boards and the tall fence in the back kind of shielded where the cooler is, which was painted black, and it fits really well in that back corner. And the next, and this is their main entrance to the restaurant. So this is a street view, and it was only taken about a month ago or so. And you could see where they have the temporary canopy right there. That is a 20 by 20 structure. And like I said, it does not get in the way of the driveway at all. It does take up their parking spots, but that was just the regular parking spots, which they have plenty in the back. And I believe the next slide gives us, it's an artist's impression, so I'm not exactly, it's pretty much the scale, but what they would like to see is more permanent covered dining area. People have really been enjoying, as we all know, in the last year and a half, outside dining more than ever. It's worked out great. It's up against another busy restaurant, so they both have a very coincide together very well with this outside feature. We want to style it just like what's in the back, which you'll see the next structure in the next couple slides. And the next slide is the feature. Becca, I think this is the one that shows the slanted going back. The revised one that was sent shows it going the other way. But so this,
if you give me just a few minutes, I'll pull it up.
Okay, can we go back to it though? Sure. Okay, so basically we would have to take down what is there and then reuse the pieces and parts. But we would be building the foundation again to support this feature. It would have a standing seam metal roof. It would be slanted up. The current roof is slanted up. You can't see it from this view, but it would be slanted up towards
You look at the low
the
side.
line. Yeah, we're looking at the low side. So it's slanting up in line with the current roof line. Of course, all gutters and downspouts would be appropriately put on there. We would want to keep with the same stained black. We like the idea that the inside roof is stained natural to keep with the warmth of the wood doors. We have some other wood features that are inside the restaurant that I'm sure all of you have visited. So it gives a nice balance to the black and the white and the light gray and the warmth of the wood. So the footprint again would stay the same. It's just a complete metal covered dining area now.
So Edward, I got a question. Which way is this thing sloping? Is it?
Okay, Tim, so as we're sitting in this parking lot, this would be the low side. And the roof, the restaurant you see on the corner, this roof would come over top of that roof and the high would go back toward the main building, the other part of the main building.
We resubmitted another view and that's what Becca is going to pick up right now.
Yeah, this is not looking right here.
I just emailed it to everyone. The reason it wasn't added to the agenda is because of our guidelines and like our posting guidelines. I couldn't add it, but we're still allowed to present it. So let me just
go through. Yeah, see it right there, Tim. See right there, Tim. That's architecture. Yeah, that's what it would do.
Okay, I got you. So the low side is actually toward the parking lot where you would be coming into.
Right. See, you got this slope on this, toward the existing entrance. We want that roof to come over.
Yeah.
And after we can't get it lower because that's so low. And then that way we can carry it up. Not in the great slope. I mean, we're just going to keep it coming. Now, that roof's going to be a very low slope. You're not going to see that thing.
And Edward, I'm assuming you can't slope it the other way. You can't let the entrance side be the high side.
You could, but what would happen is because of that back where it hangs over, we would have to make this front higher to do that. And structurally wise, it doesn't affect anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just these two roofs coming. It was just kind of odd to force it that way. I know when you look at the other one in the front, you're seeing the high.
I may be missing the reasoning. Maybe I'm just missing the reasoning because I don't have the whole view here.
Well, the reason is if you look at the lower roof to the right of it, as you go in the main door, right?
Right.
So if we reverse the slope and get this side higher, we're going to hit the slope on that roof right there. See how we're hanging it over?
Yeah.
Over top of the roof. So if you go the other way, that which is what is the high side now on this drawing, is going to hit the slope of that roof of this building. As you see this little piece you're looking at on the door, where the door is, that's basically a lean-to to the bigger building toward the back. It's going to dive into that roof unless we make this side here a lot higher.
I see. So there's a higher roof, a higher building back here.
There is.
I see. That's what I was missing.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And you know, you get there and you want to do it one way, but then you kind of look at what's there and it kind of forces your hand.
Messes you up. I gotcha.
Yeah.
That is really too bad for two reasons, though. One is, I mean, we get hard rains and you're going to get soaked as you try and run under that.
Well, we're going to gutter it. So we'll gutter it, Rachel.
Yeah, but I know that's a perfect solution, but it's clunky.
Yeah.
So it's not a nice, elegant solution. So that's one of my, I'm sorry about that, but more than that, I just think that when you approach, and just like on the front pavilion, you have it facing, so the high side's on the street.
Yeah.
What you get is you get that gorgeous color of the ceiling showing, and it makes it just much more interesting and really a great feature to add to the streetscape. And you miss that if this slopes this way, like you don't see that color of the ceiling showing as part of the architectural design
Let me
to
ask
the
you a
loss
question.
of the pavilion.
Okay. Now we can reverse it, which
goes back to that
yeah, we can reverse it, and then so you can see that kind of like
that just looks amazing.
Right. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be clunky when you come to these two roofs. So we would probably have to pick it up a little bit. What I want to do with the low side, say we do it like this. I got to get that low side just a little bit higher to where I fall, so I don't have a conflict. Well, we can do that. So if that's the only thing you don't like, we can reverse it. Okay.
Okay. I got a question.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you make the right-hand side in this picture the high side and have this thing slope off and dump everything into the space by the cooler?
Yeah.
Oh, you could. You're not going to the same feature. We could, David.
I'm just saying that would keep it from pouring onto the people entering the building.
Yeah, we'll take care of the water as far as the people. Yes, we can do that. I don't know if you would get as much appeal that way. Now that's something for y'all.
I think
you'll lose your appeal going that way.
I agree. I think you'll lose. Everett, if you can make it work from the framing perspective with the high side on the parking lot side or the driveway side,
make it work.
That's the way it'll look the best from an architectural perspective.
Yeah,
we can make it work. If that's a big hang up, we can make that work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you can leave your raft details out there.
David, I appreciate your other one, but I think you're right. The wood's there, like Nancy's pointing out.
Yeah. And it's just got this really great feeling.
Okay.
Of, like the wood with the black, and then if you've got, any kind of natural things growing, like it would just be a really fantastic space.
We can make it work. So maybe it was good to
I love these two little pavilions together, like the one on the street.
Yeah,
really adds to the streetscape. It's a fantastic addition to our town and to this restaurant. So I love that. And then this with it, as a little companion piece, they're great. They're really great.
Well, and with this COVID thing staying here, and it's just more outside.
We're not out of it yet, are we?
We had somebody in the discussion the other day, and they're talking about a new restaurant in a flex space, and the first thing Nancy and I told them was, you need to provide outside seating, because
people want that, and Chris Bauer sitting beside us, and he's over here shaking his head. People want to feel like they're outside and they're not cooped in.
It's something.
Well, we can make this work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And it does look nice, that exposed roof.
Now, what we would probably do here, we're gonna, on the other one, that fence there is like 48 inches in the front. Now, on the other one, we'll make it 40. We'll move this one down to 40 also, so that we still get the cover, but we don't want anybody to feel like they're in a stockade. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
So I know 8 inches, we gotta take it down. So we take the 8 inches off. We didn't want to get 3 foot and feel too low, but the 4 foot, we notice it now is a little too much.
It might be too high. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the roof. It looks like you've got 26 gauge metal screw down roof, which typically we don't approve.
Okay. But we can put whatever roof on there. You're not going to see the roof whatsoever. It can be.
Well, now, yeah.
Do you have decking, Edward? Or are you trying to do this with no decking?
Not doing decking, Tim.
You're trying to do no decking?
No decking.
Yeah, so typically the roof we approve requires sheathing. You know what I mean? It won't span over purlins. You have to go to a commercial grade roof like you and I use all the time in our businesses to get it to span over those rafter tails.
Oh no, we'll make it span. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, we're setting these up, these joists here on 16, so it would span it, not a problem. But it just depends on what y'all want up there. I mean, hey, we prefer for it too, to have more, I don't want to say rustic and throw y'all off here and get going the other way, but you're not gonna, the bottom line, you're not gonna see it. Now, as far as this is such a little bit of roof, hey, it ain't the end of the world what we put up there, right? So our thought was to put a galvanum roof up there, but there again, like you said, you don't see it. And you're probably talking more about the other one than you are this one, I would imagine, Tim. And
I mean, I think the two need to match each other.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt, 100%. Well, for a lot of reasons. Number one, they need to. Number two, the ease of construction. I mean, we don't want to rewrite this thing, so.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of feel like we need to stick with our standards, which is the 1 inch standing seam roof. If everybody else agrees with that.
It's just a little bit of roof, Tim. So
yeah,
put that in there. Nancy's making a note here, and Rachel, Becca. That's fine. Okay.
Do you have any other comments?
Nope. I like to eat outside and I like to eat there. So I'll look forward to sitting there. So,
we have a motion.
You want to go for it, Tim?
Sure. So I'll say we will approve as submitted with 2 caveats, I believe. One, well, maybe there were 3. The slope of the shed that's attached to the building will slope from the driveway entrance to the property line, I guess that would be the right property line. The roof would be our 1 inch standing seam metal roof, 16 inches wide, 1 inch seams. And then I think the galvanum color, I think it was okay, Edwards. And then I think the other one, did y'all talk about you wanted the slope to be a little bit less on the front canopy, the one by the street? Was that brought up, Rachel?
I don't know that we talked about that in particular.
Okay.
It's difficult from this sketch to truly tell, honestly.
Yeah.
I like the concept a lot.
Rachel, the thought there, see the fence, if you look at the black fence that faces Montrose.
Yeah.
So we figured we would make that fence 8 foot, and then that back of that roof would be 2 foot higher than that. So that would be 10 back there.
Yeah.
And then we would just bring it up. We don't need a whole lot of slope, so we can bring it a 1 on 12 or 2 forward. That's all we would really need.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think a 112 is too little.
Okay, we'll go
I
through.
agree. I don't think we want to look flat there.
Yeah, we
Okay.
don't, yeah.
I think since we already have a black standing seam roof over the left-hand
Oh, good
part
catch,
of
David.
the building, that it would look much better to have
Yeah,
the metal roof
All right.
be black rather than
match that.
galvalume.
I agree. I agree. Good catch, David.
Yeah, that, we'll do that.
We'll
Okay.
just match that same roof. That'd be good.
Make my wife happy.
And then
Yeah.
one more question, Edward. Are you planning to have rafter tails that extend past the edge of the beam with overhangs, or that kind of sketch kind of shows like it's just flush right there? What's the intent?
All right, so basically on this one, pretty much, we would basically bring it, we don't want to get too big because of the driveway, but no, I would think we would bring it across and bring it at least 6 past it, so you don't flatten out right at the post.
Yeah.
In
And what about facing the street? How long would you, what are you looking
bring it
at
out
there?
forward.
Yeah, coming out toward the sidewalk. Seems like you need something coming out.
Well, we need some, I would say we'd go 12 there or more.
Yeah.
Is it possible for you to draw it so we can see exactly what it would look like? I mean,
Yeah, it'd be great.
I love the idea of what you're doing, but the devil's in the details.
Okay.
Just look across the street.
We know, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, don't let us cross the streets, yeah. Hey, that's a thorn in my side, and I present it all the time.
Amen.
But Rachel, sure, we can do it. We're hoping to get some kind of approval because we want to get started because Chris is wanting to be able to get this thing moving as soon as we can. And I mean, we'll draw whatever you want to draw. And, Rachel Becca, I'm sorry. Becca can present it out. So, y'all tell us if we could, we'd like to get some approvals with some kind of an exception that you got to see it. And
So we can get started at least.
Does anybody have a problem with approving it based upon drawings being sent out to us? And
I
then
don't have a problem with that.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I
That
don't
will
have a
help.
problem. Yeah.
okay. Well, I have to work a little harder.
I'm gonna double check just to make sure with Jesse tomorrow morning to make sure that's okay. Because we've had issues in the past with, if someone a staff member sends an email to a board and it's to more than 2 of you, it's considered a quorum. So if you're making a decision via email, I just have to ask. I don't know what the legal implications of that could be, but the town has gotten in trouble for that before, and I know that, and I'm sure most of the board members know that. So I will check and I'll confirm with everyone in the morning.
Becca, or could we do it like we did the door, where we kind of say the approvals with you, but maybe we can kind of see those elevations, or you can.
I have no issue with it. I just want to make sure it's done correctly. That way, none of us are asking for forgiveness later.
Yeah, understand. Okay.
So I will do my darndest to make sure that that's okay, because I completely understand the weather's perfect for getting this thing up and using it. So I understand the urgency completely. I did email y'all that other drawing that Nancy had uploaded, I think on the 16th.
That's backwards one now, so.
Yeah, so if everyone's in agreement with that original one, that was actually kind of done backwards.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah, they're the drawings from the front structure.
Okay.
You want more than that? That's the front structure right there. I've forgotten those were in the back, Becca. Thank you.
It looks slightly different, but I would feel more comfortable if you guys had specific comments on this drawing saying, it needs to show A, B, C, D, and then they can resubmit and I can compare it to this, because it's, you guys know I'm not an architect, I'm not a contractor. So there are certain things I'm definitely comfortable with reviewing and knowing that they're going to be up to your standards. But this is something where it's technically a whole new structure. So I'd like to have a baseline to go off of at least. But again, I'd have to make sure that that's okay. But I think this would make more sense because you guys have seen the concept in an architectural sort of way. And I'd have something to go off of. I think that might work.
All right, let's talk about this one for a minute then beforehand. So Tim, you brought this up. So as you can see, there's some overhang on the high and low here. And then you were speaking, Tim, of the sides here. Are we going to overhang the sides?
Yeah.
Not just the front and back. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was actually asking about the front and back and the sides. So this addressed the front and back. I think this looks fine personally for the front and back. I do think the sides would look better if you can get some overhang.
Now,
and it being
let me
flush.
tell you why. Let me tell you this. Well, that's not a problem. What we were doing here was taking and running those joists, those LVLs down there, and then dropping these rafters coming across these down in the same plane. So therefore, it doesn't present itself. So what we would need to do, if we need to drop the LVLs a little bit, so those 2x6s or 10s up there can come over the side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a problem. It just that it's going to drop those LVLs enough for those top 2x10s to span beyond them.
Are you running the rafters the 20-foot width then? Not the.
But it's 20 by 20. So
it's 20
we're
by
running
20.
the LVLs from the high side. So you would have, if you look at that front right, you'd have two of them there, and then you get in the center, there would be two more, and then on the other side would be two more. And what these 2x10s would do is they sit in a hanger and sit down on the same plane. Now, if we want to show some overhang far as going, right and left, what I need to do is drop the LVLs and run these 2x10s on top of them so I can extend them beyond the side to get that overhang on the side, which is, we can do whatever. I mean, that's fine.
Or either change the frame in the other direction.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be 20 by 20. So
yeah, right. But then you let your rafter, your 2x10s create that rafter across there, and you have your LVLs running the other direction on the high and low side.
We can do that, but then when you're looking at that, you want to see that look from the front where those brown 2x10s
are sticking out the front.
Yeah, we can do whatever. We don't have a problem. It's 20 by 20, so let's face it, whichever way we frame it, we frame it. So it's just when you're looking at it from this front angle, and what I think it was Rachel pointed out on the back, she wanted to see the natural look up here where these are coming across. You would still have it, you just wouldn't have the same. So all it would mean is when you're looking at it from this side right here, on the right, this side, those LVLs would drop down and those 2x's would come across the top of it. See, that way when we fasten the roof, the 2x10s are running the opposite direction in the roof. Now, if we do it the other way, we could put some purliners in there and do that. So it's like I said, let's face it, it's only 20 by 20. We could do it whichever way.
I don't know. I've got a big feeling one way or the other.
Yeah. That would kind of affect that overhang. We like the way those 2x10s sit down in a saddle in a bracket. We did one for the fish camp, and what we did, we got a bracket. You put the bracket up, and you put all your fasteners there. Then you drop it in there. You don't see all those fasteners sticking on each side of it. It just hides it. It's very nice.
Yeah, I like not seeing all those fasteners too.
Yeah, no, it really. Matter of fact, the boy framing it said, "Hey, it'd be easier to do it the other way." I said, "It's not about easy. It's about right." And so he called us, wanted to change it. We said, "No, you can't change it." So.
All right. Well, what does everybody want to do? I think I'm okay just going ahead and.
I guess
Is that a 1 on 12?
that's a 2.
No, it's not that.
That's a 2.
It is a 2, I can't see.
Mhm.
Becca, how confident are you in handling this? Are you okay?
Y- Yes, I think if it was a little bit more spelled out, because we're kind of talking about a lot of different options here.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is something that I can run by Jesse as well. You know, typically if I have a question that relates to plans, I'll reach out to Rachel or Tim because of the nature of their jobs. So it might be that if I do have a question, if it's not acceptable for me to, you know, contact the BAR as a whole, I could, you know, contact Rachel or Tim individually. That's what we do a lot of times with our tree committee. You know, if we have, you know, only certain board members available, we'll take them out to a site and go over it. So that's probably something that I can do if I don't feel comfortable. But yeah, I think if it were spelled out a little bit, I mean, it sounds like you guys are okay with a couple different options,
Yeah.
at least
I
to
think
me.
just seeing the framing plan would help. Thanks.
Let me ask something. Can I ask something? Have essentially we approved or agreed that the one that is already up, that's going to be taken down and redone, is okay, so that he could actually start on that and then get the other one where the tent is, and do that, get it approved later?
Well, let me ask you a question. So if you're okay with this, then we just need to make a decision on how far that lower overhang is and how high the upper overhang is. Is that not correct?
And that's the part that I can't tell it. Like, I can't tell until it's drawn. Like, it's.
Okay, is that something though that Becca can take to either you or Tim to approve?
I think that would be fine.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do that.
All right, well, let's finish our motion then, as we've discussed, with final approval by Becca. And Becca is going to reach out to Rachel or myself for assistance if she feels like she needs it.
Okay.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay. Rachel,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
and David, yes.
All right, I'll send the approval for the back porch tomorrow, and then I'll just wait to hear from you, Nancy, with the updated drawing for this one.
Great, thank you, Becca.
That's easy enough. We'll make some changes and more notes and more details, and yeah, please look at it. And anyway, we'll get it done. Thank y'all.
All right.
Denver,
Thank you.
Thank you.
we're trusting you, man. Don't let us down.
No. We let you down. Hey, we let you. Y'all have to look at it. We'll make sure. But thank you, and it's gonna look good. We're ready to eat. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
All right,
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
I don't think the folks have hopped on for this enclosure of the Blue House porch. Let me see the name just to make sure. Now, I did double check this. If you guys want to discuss this, you can. The person does not have to technically be here, but I know usually we forego doing that. So I will leave that up to y'all.
I'd say if they didn't show, let's skip it.
I would
What?
concur.
What was that?
If they don't show, let's skip it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just put in my 2 cents worth. I do not think the plan that's been proposed is attractive.
This elevation, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of a project that I get, not that this person did that, but people get very upset with me for not approving things like this.
yeah,
But, you know, I try and explain, but you guys do a much better job than that. So,
Yeah.
well then I don't have anything further. I didn't put this on the agenda, but obviously, you know, we lost Cecile and that's terrible, and her husband, and that's awful. And I really feel for their family. I have talked to her daughter a little bit. She seems to be doing okay, but we do have the task to fill her seat now. Beth Meservey, the clerk for the town, told me that she did have 2 applications, but I don't think they fit the requirements for the seat. So spread the word if you know of anyone.
Becca, what are the requirements?
So I believe Cecile's technical, the spot that she filled was an at-large position, so they have to live within the town.
Okay.
Well, you know, Beth Huggins is moving back into town.
Yes, I was surprised that we didn't get a cameo from her. I saw her in the background.
Well, she was very adamant about not participating in any open discussion of that project.
Gotcha.
So, but I think while she was on the board, she did a very good job. And
I would agree.
I wouldn't have any
Agreed.
problem having her back on again.
Yep, for sure.
Does anybody want to take her out to dinner or something? Convince her.
I already planted the seed with Jimmy, so.
Okay.
And he sounded like she would be open.
Yeah.
Well, y'all just let me know.
Yeah. I also know Robin Rogers, who's an interior designer, and we looked at her home for paint colors, I think, a while ago. But, you know, if Beth doesn't want to rejoin us or is unable to, it would be worth asking Robin. She lives in a historic home and, you know, has a lot of knowledge about our town.
Hey guys, I've got to
Which house
run.
does she live in?
Yeah, I got to run.
I'm going to jump off. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
All right, let's vote before we lose too many people to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Me too.
All right.